2026 might be your last chance to build a brand that actually stands out. Because I'm sure if you're on Twitter by now, you can see the craziness. There's a new AI model dropping every single day. You can't even tell what's real and what's fake anymore. People are creating content with Nano Banana, with all of these AI models. So if you actually want to stand out, this might be the last year. I'm going to be honest, because God knows where we're going to be 12 months, 6 months from now. Everything is going so fast. AI is just taking over. You got gurus left and right dropping content. Like everything is the same. It's just copy paste. So if you want to actually stand out, this video is going to be amazing. So this is why you need to build a cold brand in 2026. This is, in my opinion, going to be your last chance. Okay, so let's dive in. So I want to talk to you about the big divides that I'm seeing that's happening right now. So in 2026, there will be two types of creators, right? The ones who use AI to just write basic shit, and I'm sure you've seen them by now. They just get followers, they just get people who just scroll past, maybe like a post, and just ultimately forget they fucking exist. And then you have the ones who have believers, right? People who are obsessed with them, who defend them, who buy everything they sell without even questioning it. So what is the difference between the two, right? The difference is one of them has a cold brand. And obviously it's the ones that actually builds believers, not just fans, not just followers. So this is the big divide, because 2026 is the year, this might be the last year to actually build the brands. I said it before, right? You either create or you get buried in the creation of others, in the creation of AI. And again, this might literally turn into a fucking Matrix movie. Who knows? But today I'm going to show you why you need to build a cold brand and how to actually do it. So let's get into it. This is the 2026 landscape, the way I see it. So AI content right now is exploding, right? Everyone can create good content. And the thing is, platforms are more saturated than ever. And attention span is just completely falling apart across more creators, more platforms, because quality content is now the baseline, right? Not a differentiator. So that's not it anymore. If you just have good content, if you just make good posts here and there, you cannot stand out. That's just a fact right now because of the AI, because of the whole space. So the thing with this is traditional marketing is getting more and more expensive and less effective. I'm seeing this with multiple founders across different industries. Traditional marketing, it's just posting here and there, not having a mass distribution that literally goes against the algorithm and that defeats all of these changes that we have every week, every day even. If you don't have that, it's not enough. So this is going to be the 2026 landscape. And again, God knows where we're going to be in 2027. So what I'm seeing now is something that I like to call the death of average. Because in 2025, you could still get away, right, with pretty good content, like decent offer, having a solid funnel, having all of this. That was enough to actually build something. But in 2026, pretty good is fucking invisible. Because when everyone has access to AI, generated content, copywriters, and the same templates, good actually means nothing, right? Because you're competing with a million other goods creators saying the same shit. And one of my good mentors, who's a founder, told me, like, Andre, right now, because the saying, like, knowledge is power. Well, right now, because everybody has access to AI from all around the world, knowledge is not power anymore. So what is? Well, creativity, creating an actual code, creating something that people can believe in. That's where the real power stands. So this is the death of average. And the only way out of this is this. There's only one thing, right? AI cannot replace and replicate. Templates cannot manufacture this. Funnels cannot create this, and that is you. And I know it sounds cliche, right? But that's you, your character, your cults, the rational loyalty that you create that makes people choose you even when cheaper, better options exist. This is something that AI will never take away if you actually build it. because you get to stand out, you get to dominate your industry. And AI cannot replace that. AI can replace a funnel, right? A fucking VSL, a fucking carousel, whatever. But AI cannot replace a cult. It can never replace a cult. And I'm sure, like, to some of you watching, you already sit here seeing that people almost start looking at AI as their god, right? As their cult, which is fair. But if we're talking about a human actual connection, the only way to do that, the only way, and again, across multiple different industries, every kind of industry, the way to do that is to build an iconic brand. And I'm going to show you how. So the thing is, right now, personal brands are dying. This is the way, this is like what I'm seeing in real time. Personal brands are fucking dying. Because the thing is, with content pillars, everyone has the same 3 to 5 topics. Fucking everyone. Again, you can look at every niche: real estate, business, nutrition, whatever it is. Everybody has the same. They have the same hook formulas, right? We've all seen them like thousands of times by now. Everybody has the value first content. It's everywhere. Again, at this point, it's just fucking noise. It's just fucking noise. And everybody has consistency without character and funnel first strategies, right? Which people are almost immune to now. Everybody has this. This is why when the gurus tell you build a personal brand, just be authentic, pick your niche, pick your content pillars, build your funnel. Every single person in the online space right now has this. And again, up until now, you could survive with this. But now it's not enough. It's just simply not enough. And personal branding was built from a world with less competition, right? When there were just fewer creators and you could stand out by just showing up consistently with decent content. But that world is fucking gone. It's over. It's game over. Because now everyone's showing up. Everyone's consistent. Everyone has a Canva template and a content calendar, and it all looks the same. It looks the fucking same. It's almost like clones left and right. So if you don't stand out, if you don't actually go against the wave, you're just going to be, again, buried in the creation of AI, in the creation of others. So you got to stand out. Because when your brand is built on tactics that anyone can copy, you're just a commodity. And commodities compete on price. I said it before. If you're here in your market and you just compete based on features, you compete based on, copy-paste templates, you compete based on price. What does that mean? That means every single new client that comes through, they're going to initially compare your offer, your products to everybody else in the market. Whereas when you build a cult brand, you don't compete based on anything because you create your own bubble where there's no competition. The whole point of premium positioning is to eliminate or reduce competition. Ideally, just completely eliminate everyone. So you become a niche of one. And so to survive 2026, you just need a cult brand. That's what you need if you actually want to survive. And not only that, if you actually want to dominate. Because the people, you can see it right now, the people who truly crush the online space are the ones that build cults. Not the ones that build funnels, again, not the ones that build flywheels, not the ones that whatever. The people that actually build movements and icons in their industry. And this is what the video is going to show you. I'm going to break down all of the reasons why you need to build a cult brand. And then we're going to take a look at the anatomy of an actual cult brand so that you can take that and apply it into your niche, into whatever you're doing right now with content. So a cult brand isn't about manipulation. This is what you got to understand. It's not about being a scammer that just sells courses. It's about building something that people actually believe in, something they identify with, something they would punch their fucking friend if they talk shit about you. That level of brand. This is what the cult brand is about. And cult brands tap into something way deeper than just logic. They tap into identity, belonging, meaning, and tribe. Because when somebody joins your cult brands, they're not just buying from you, they're becoming, right? They're signaling to the world who they are. And I have a picture right here of a Ferrari car. You can think about it like that. When somebody goes in and buys a Ferrari, they don't buy the Ferrari just because of the car. They buy the Ferrari because of what status the car brings. So they're signaling to everybody else, I became this person. I'm becoming this person. So it's all about identity rather than the features or the specs of the product. And again, this transcends industries. It's a principle that I'm talking to every one of my clients about. This is what we're doing. We transcend the industry. And at that point, it's not even about your offer that much. It's not even about like your content topics. It's not about any of that. It's the psychology behind it all. Because when you build that cold brand and people follow you, it's something really like on a deep human level, is something like an identity shift that happens. Because people gravitate towards cults. They gravitate towards this idea of I wanna belong to this tribe. It's not about the product, it's not about the course, it's not about the whatever they sell. It's something way deeper than that. It's this again idea of I'm actually belonging here. This is my tribe. I've found it. And you can create that, right? So you can look at Apple, you can look at Tesla, you can look at Elvis, you can look at Harley Davidson. Examples from different industries, companies, artists. These are not just companies, again, or artists, they're actual identities because people tattoo these brands on their fucking bodies. They argue with strangers online defending them. And that is not marketing, that is cult psychology. It's deeper than marketing. And I have a picture right here. Hopefully you can see this of Elvis on a Harley, right? When it came to Elvis, people weren't listening to him just because of the way the songs were sounding or like the shows. That was just like the tip of the iceberg. People were connecting to the actual Elvis movement. And again, Elvis represented an identity still to this day. Apple, the same thing. Harley, the same thing. It's not just about the bike. It's not just about the engine. Tesla is the same exact thing. So these are going to be the 5 reasons why you need to build a cold brand. And also what you need if you want to build one. So let's get into it. So the first one, attention is the scarcest resource right now. It's been that way, but right now it's more critical than ever because the average person just sees thousands, tens of thousands of messages and notifications and posts every single day. They scroll past 95% of content without a second fucking thought. And the only thing that stops the scroll is emotional resonance, is identity. Again, this feeling of belonging. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that AI makes content worthless, right? This is what's happening in real time. ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, all of these AI models. Because when anyone can generate good content in seconds, content stops being a moat. And if you're not familiar with the term, is basically a moat is a competitive advantage. So content is not your competitive advantage anymore. It's not. And the only moats left is you, your character, again, your perspective, and the thing that cannot be replicated by a prompt, which is your story. This cannot be replicated by AI. Sure, you can use AI to amplify your content output, to help you ideate, to help you come up with ideas, but AI can never replace this. Now, the third reason is that trust is just collapsing right now. People trust institutions, ads, and strangers less than ever, right? You're seeing this in every single niche, especially in the online space. Trust is at an all-time low, but they actually trust people they believe in more than ever. This is the flip side of it because cold brands are built on belief and identity. The only currencies that actually work, still work, and they're going to work more than ever in 2026. And this is why you need this, because when somebody believes in you, they don't need convincing, they don't need proof, they're already fucking sold, which is what you want as a cold brand. And again, trust, if you actually want to make a lot of money, you need to go deeper than just selling products, deeper than just posting content, deeper than trying to do a webinar and convince people to buy. You need to actually build a brand that literally goes against your entire fucking industry and stands out. Because if you want to be like everybody else, again, trust is at an all-time low, and it's going to be very, very hard for you to make any money. Because I'm seeing a lot of creators, they can barely survive nowadays. They're trying to come up with a constant like offers, constant courses left and right, group programs, anything to make money. Because they got the supercars, they got to pay, they got all of these different expenses, and it's very hard because people just don't trust them anymore. A lot of people caught up to it, right? So again, trust is collapsing. The fourth reason, I call this fuck the price. That's the fourth reason. So the thing is, again, commodities compete on price. Cold brands set their own fucking price. Because when people are buying identity and belonging, the price becomes irrelevant. Again, fuck the price. Apple, for example, charges 3 times more for a laptop, and people don't compare specs. Have you noticed that? I just bought the newest iPhone last year, so it wasn't I think it was the 16 Pro Max, whatever. I didn't care about the specs. I bought it because I know what that iPhone represents. And for me, it's the top of the line in terms of like phones. I'm not going to buy any other phone because I'm in the Apple ecosystem. And again, Apple is a perfect example with this because people compare who they become using it. So it's this idea of, okay, if I buy an Android or a Samsung, whatever, who am I becoming when I'm buying that? That's why a lot of people gravitate towards Apple. It's not because Apple has the best specs. It's because Apple has the best identity when you actually buy a product and when you get into their ecosystem. That's the reason. And so that's cult brand pricing power. Again, fuck the price. The fifth reason, organic growth through believers, right? This is the fifth reason. So regular brands just pay for every eyeball. You know, a lot of people run ads. They just waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on ads because they need that attention. But cold brands have believers who just recruit people for free. That's the thing. Because they share your content. They tag their friends. They defend you in comments. They do your marketing for you because being associated with you is part of their identity, is part of who they are. And regardless of AI, regardless of ads, of content even, word of mouth is still the best marketing there is. So that's the only scalable growth in 2026. Because people who spread your brand because it benefits them to be seen spreading it. So that's why when you're looking at content that gets a lot of shares, or if you're in a situation where you don't get a lot of shares and you're wondering why, you gotta ask yourself, if somebody shares this video, this post that I did, does it benefit them? Does it benefit their image? Because think about it, we only share content that kind of like, as long as it's not like weird, if it's something especially valuable or educational, whatever, we only share content that makes us look good when sharing that content. So that's why I'm seeing a lot of people wonder, why are people not sharing my content? Well, it's because, the value might be there, but just the way the content is packaged, it might not necessarily make them look good when they actually spread it. So that's the fifth reason. So now that we had a look at those, let's go to the anatomy of a cold brand. What actually builds and makes a cold brand? So when you understand these elements, again, you can take them and you actually use them, because I want you to take something from this video that you can right now use, apply, and actually get results. The very first thing is a cold brand has a character behind it, not just content. So what do I mean by this idea of character? You got to look at the biggest artists, biggest movie stars, biggest brands in general. They have a persona behind them. If you look at Michael Jordan, it's not about the shoe. It's about the person that wears the shoe. We only care about Jordan because of like the shoe, because of who Michael Jordan was and is. You can look at Apple, again, Steve Jobs. People care about Apple to a degree because they know it's associated with the persona of Steve Jobs, with his vision, with his ideology. So when you build a cold brand, don't just focus on the content, focus and be hyper intentional with the character behind the brand, with the character behind it all. What is the character that you're trying to build? What is that icon behind the brand? What is the story? And almost treat it like a movie star or like an artist. You can look at The Weeknd. Again, I gave him as an example a couple of videos before because he's amazing. He's built such a persona, powerful persona that just transcends the music. That again, people when they're in that universe, they just relate to that persona. So a cold brand has a character, not just content. And then a cold brand has an enemy. I talked about it plenty of times before. You need an enemy. You need something that you stand against. Because loyal armies, again, I've said this multiple times, loyal armies do not exist without an enemy. So if you want to stand out, you need to be willing to be abrasive. You need to be willing to speak your mind, to call shit out in your industry. Because if people don't see you stand against anything, they're going to know you fucking played safe. And when you play it safe, you don't get the obsessed fans or believers, rather. So you need an enemy. Now, the next thing is a transformation. Every cold brand, whether that's on an identity level or product level or results, it provides, but especially on the identity level, it provides a deep transformation. It provides something tangible. It provides this idea of, when I buy this thing, I'm going to become a different person. I'm going to become a different me, essentially, a different beast. So whatever you're selling right now, it's not about the offer. It's not about the features. It's not about how many modules you got in your program. It's not about any of that. It's about what the actual person becomes, who they become after and throughout like your process. You can sell a physical product. I ran an e-com store that was focused on this exact thing. And I'm gonna give the strategy right now, just to quickly dive into it. So I was selling phone cases, right? The privacy sort of phone case, like the privacy glass thing, when you do like this with your phone and people cannot read your messages. I didn't market that based on, this glass is amazing, it won't break, whatever. I didn't market that. I marketed the whole transformation behind it. Now, how did I apply it to that? I essentially used the angle of, when you get this phone case, if you want to talk to somebody and if you don't want people, like especially your partner or whatever, to see that, this phone case will allow you to do that. This phone case will allow you to cheat. This phone case will allow you to again, do whatever you want on your phone in public. So it wasn't just about it wasn't about the fucking phone case. It was about the human psychology and what the people wanted to become in that process. Now, obviously, that's such a weird example for a phone case, but again, I made six figures, multiple six figures with that e-com store. Beyond, like, before the personal brand, before I got into this. So obviously, especially with this, when it comes to the online space, when it comes to selling an offer, you got to do the same thing. Focus on the transformation rather than just focusing on the actual product. Just, again, competing based on features. If you compete based on that, it's over, because you're inevitably going to have a competitor that potential client is going to compare you to constantly, and you're going to lose that race. Sooner than later, you're going to lose it. So compete. Not even compete, but create a deep transformation and just market that. Don't just market the product. Now, another thing is having a world. A cold brand creates a world, a universe, not just content. It creates a universe so powerful that, again, transcends the fucking content pillars, the hook formulas, the funnels. It creates that sort of bubble that is so unique and has the unique language to it, the unique slang, the unique belief system, that people, when they get in, that's how they become believers. That's how they become obsessed, because it's not like anything else in the market. So when you're creating content, when you're trying to position yourself online, think about it like this. How do I build my own mini universe here? And it can start super fucking small. It can start with 50 people. But think about it like that. Don't just think like super small, like how do I create some videos here and there? What's the best fucking hook that I gotta use? Don't think about it like that, because if you look at the top creators, and I can name some right now, like you can look at Alex Hormozy in the business niche. You can look at Leo Skepi. That's someone that I've been following like recently. The guy doesn't have, like, Leo doesn't have a fucking hook formula. He doesn't sit there thinking, what is the best thing to say right now? He's just himself. But he's mastered these principles that, again, he created his world. And when people are in it, they're in it like they're just fucking 1000% there. It's almost like this Netflix show. And they just wait for the next video, like the next season on Netflix, for their favorite show. This is how it goes. You got to create your world. Now, another thing is cold brands create this idea of exclusion. So what does that mean? That means fucking learning this, how to say no. If you say yes to everyone, if you accept everyone in your ecosystem, if you accept every potential client, even though you're not truly aligned with them, if you desperately want to say yes to every single opportunity that comes through, then that means, again, you don't really stand against anything. And you're just a yes man at that point. You're a brand that tries to fit in with everybody, with every single opportunity. And the perception with that, it's going to be messed up. So you got to be willing to say no, because this also creates this idea of exclusivity, which, if we're talking about building a premium brand, a luxury brand, you desperately need. If you're not exclusive, and again, you can look at the biggest brands. You can look at Tom Ford, Chanel, in terms of fashion, Celine, whatever, they are exclusive. Everything is constantly sold out. You got to get on a wait list just to buy something, just to buy a piece of like a fucking jacket or pants. You need to be able to say no. And how do you do this on a practical level? Again, it's like you can do wait lists. You can literally say no publicly to people, right? You can say no in sales calls. You can say no in different sort of ways, but the idea still stands. Is this idea of, I'm going to exclude these people and I'm only going to take in my soulmates. I call them soulmate clients, the people that actually align with me on a deep level. So again, exclusion. Now, what is the costs now that we had to look at the anatomy of the brand, right? What is the cost of not building a cold brand in 2026? The cost is this. You're going to be competing with AI generated content that's faster and cheaper than ever before. And as a human being, especially if you don't have a huge team for distribution, there's no fucking way you can compete with AI. You're seeing what's happening with Nano Banana, with all of this. You cannot compete if you don't create a cold brand. So if you're not going to create that, you're gonna have a fucking tough time with that. It's gonna be also a race to the bottom on price. So again, if you don't create an iconic brand in your industry, you're constantly gonna compete on price. This is what these gurus do. They drop a sale every now and then. They have the fucking Black Friday special sale, special offer. They do all of that. I'm not doing any of this because I don't need to, because I stand out. So I don't have to fucking drop my prices. I don't have to do any of that. And again, this is the cost. The third thing, you're going to be grinding harder for just smaller returns because, again, the space is so crowded. You just inevitably have to put in way more effort for smaller wins, which is fucking crazy. But this is what it is. You're going to be watching people with less skill but more cult energy pass you. This is a huge thing. That's also gonna, and I kind of experienced this last year when I was trying to fit in to a certain level. Like, I noticed like there are a lot more people that are less skilled than I am. They don't do crazy edits. They don't fucking, they don't do any of this, but they have people gravitate towards them. And so that kind of flipped the switch in my mind. And again, this is the cost. Another thing, you will be becoming invisible in a sea of good content. As I said it before, good content is not the differentiator anymore. Like, good content is simply not enough. So you need more than that. And last but not least, you're going to be building an audience that just doesn't buy, share, or worse, care about what you have to say. This is the cost. So again, take this video, use these principles, and really ask yourself, am I willing to risk it? Like, am I willing to not build a cold brand in 2026 and just sit on the sidelines and watch everybody win, especially people that do it right? And even worse than that, am I willing to not leverage AI and just literally be, be completely destroyed and wiped out by AI? A lot of people, I think I'm genuinely, me and my friends, and obviously my clients, we're in a bubble because we have access to a lot of stuff with like the things we use with AI are absolutely crazy. They're insane. But I think we're in a bubble because oftentimes I have the fallacy in terms of thinking, oh, everybody thinks like this. Everybody uses AI like this. Everybody leverages it. Fuck no. Most people don't. Most people are still prompting ChatGPT with like basic prompts. Give me a content calendar. But AI goes way deeper than that. And I'm probably going to have to make separate videos with AI and how to leverage it for your cult brand. But this was it for this video. So hopefully it was useful. Again, if you actually want to build a brand like this with someone that actually builds the brand around who you are as a person without the fucking funnel bullshit, like without the guru webinars, without all of that, shoot me a DM. I'm going to drop the link down below in the comments and I'm going to see you in the next one.